Good morning, it's Lynn from Early Riser Crafting, and today we're going to be distressing and doodling. Yes, doodle art is accepted as an art form, and if you Google it, or if you go on Pinterest and Google it, you'll see tons of black and white art that are just simply doodles to give you ideas of how you can apply doodle art to your watercolors or to your distressed ink patterns and so on and so forth. So today I'm going to show you how to do, and this is a tree I already did using mowed lawn. This I did in library green, all my distressed inks. This I did a combination of fossiled amber and wild honey. And this one, I can't even remember what I used. Whatever. So I'm going to quickly do one to show you how it works. And I'm going to use only the wild honey, because I haven't used this color yet. I usually go to Spiced Marmalade, but today I'm going to use the wild honey. So the first thing I'm going to do for my tree, okay, I'm going to put my dot at the top. And the reason why I cut out small white squares, see, when I started this project, I had white squares, all different colors, is to keep my trees within a certain width and length. Otherwise, you start getting uneven, so this kind of makes you commit to a certain size. Now, if you use the edge of your dauber and you go in like this, just go back and forth. And there's your tree. I'm going to put a little more dark in the center. Okay. No painting, just daubers and distressed ink. Now I'm going to take one of my pens. This is a recollection pen also, ultra fine. Makes a nice black line. You don't have to always use a Sharpie. There's many different brands out there. So now I'm going to do my line. And it, is it going to be perfect? Probably not. Is it going to be a little uneven like that? See that? That's good. You don't want it perfect. We are not machines. So for this one, I'm going to show you how to do it in this style. So what you're going to do is make your first, put a dot on the end. Next one, dot on the end. Next one, dot on the end, and you just keep going up. Then you're going to go, and as you get to the top, you go a little more elongated. Okay, that's your first side, and now I turn it around a little bit, and now I sort of go, I don't match up this one exactly. I go a little bit underneath it. This one on top. Shouldn't be too perfect. Should have a hand quality. Handmade is key. Nothing like that little handmade quality. Okay. Now, how long did that take? Not very long. Now, well, I might want to go just a little higher on this branch and put a little dot at the top. Yeah, I think that fills it in better. And now we're going to have a little lesson on how to fussy cut. Now, I know it's counterintuitive, but you would probably think, oh, with small scissors. But actually, you want to use a big scissors for fussy cutting. I learned this from Carol Tinton. She's from London or England, somewhere, on her YouTube channel. And she explained that it's actually easier. And when I started using a larger scissors, I know it doesn't make sense, right? Why would you use a larger scissors? But it does work. Something about not using a small scissors. It's very easy to fussy cut. And it's not supposed to be whoops, sorry. I went off screen a little bit. Sorry about that. I just keep going around. Doesn't take too long. This isn't even my best, sharpest scissors, but it works just fine. And I'm going to just round off that corner a little bit. So it's rounded off like the other one. I don't like harsh 90-degree corners. And this is just a little trick, another little trick. If you get a little rough edge, you could just use a nail file and round it off. If you want to do a better job, you can always do that. So there we have a tree using doodle art, and that didn't take long at all. Now I'm going to distress around my tree using vintage photo. I could use oxide or distress ink, either one doesn't matter. I'm going to just go around the edge. And this is why I think if you're gonna continue with me on this journal journey and card making and gift wrapping, you do want to get one of these. And they come 2 in a pack. And I think I did link it in my last video. Because sometimes you just need a big surface, not a little dauber. And because you're going to tend to use the color vintage photo or ground espresso a lot, you might, okay? And that just gives it a little more definition. Okay, so there's one of my first trees. Now this is a pack of craft cards with matching envelopes that I bought a while back, I think at Michael's. They were probably on sale, but everyone sells them. Hobby Lobby, Michael's. Okay, envelopes and cards. So what we're going to do is make a card out of our trees. Okay, so I've already distressed the envelope. I went around with ground espresso, which is a little darker than vintage photo because I really wanted you to be able to see, and that adds just a little more oomph. Now the card is pretty plain, it's just a square, so but we can improve that. So I take out my trusty corner punch, and I think I linked this, I'm sure I linked this in one of my videos, and then you just go in here. I'm using the biggest size because I want a nice, and that punches right through 2 pieces. at one time, and this cardstock is pretty darn thick. But this is a good punch. I'll tell you, it works. And you need it to go through thick because sometimes you'll do a tag and you'll be using a pretty thick piece of cardstock. Press hard. Pop. Okay. Get that out of the way, and there we go. Now I just quickly distress all around it with the, probably I'm going to use the ground espresso. Now we're going to put a piece of ribbon in the back of the card. Now I don't have to. I did these off screen. That's the one I did in front of you. Then I cut this one out. Right? This one was already done. And then I'm going to put, I'm thinking of sort of like a sympathy card, like a time to mourn, because the leaves are sort of like coming off the trees. So with that in mind, what I had printed out, and I had scanned in these extra ones, and they came out too bright, but I have a time to mourn in that font. I tried it in that font. I did a time to laugh, a time to mourn. I didn't want laugh on the front page. Then these are some beautiful tree quotes, which I'm not going to use right now for this video, but I selected that one. I've already cut it out. Now I'm going to show you the best ribbon is from Dollar Tree. This is the most amazing ribbon. And I never use it like this, the whole thing. What the thing about this ribbon is this comes off. That's the beauty of it. You can just cut and then use the ribbon plain, which is quite lovely. Now my plan is to tape this in the middle of the card. Now I'm not going to use the berry glue for this. For this, and I've already done this before with this ribbon, and it works really, really well. Oops, I got a little piece of thread on there. Sorry. What I do is I use double stick tape. Double stick tape works really, really well on this particular ribbon. So I'm going to go way beyond the border. And I'm going to just throw it down right there. Right? Doesn't have to be glued perfectly. Now I'm going to try and match it up in the middle. I'm not good at this, folks, but I'll do the best I can. Well, what will be, what will be. That's, for me, that's not bad. That's pretty straight. And I press it down, flip it over, and just cut this out. And I'm leaving it white because only a little bit of it is going to show. Now for the inside of the card, because I'm thinking I'm going to sell this card, or maybe I'm going to use it personally to give someone, that's a little bit dark for me to write on. So what I'm going to do is go through my index cards. As I told you, I have tons. This is so heavy. I have so many index cards in so many different colors. So I'm going to take, I think I'm going to take this color because I like it. Yeah. And then I'll cut it out and round the corners. So I've cut it down to size. Now I'm going to round the corners with the same size rounded corner punch that I used for the card itself. And then I'm going to go back to the vintage photo and go around the whole card so it all coordinates. I'm going to use my Berry Art glue because this I need to glue in because I really want to get at the corners. I don't want this to peel up. And I do like, if I'm going to sell a card or if I'm going to use a card, I like having lines. I don't write that neat, and I'll get very crooked, and I kind of just go like that. That's enough. I'm going to try and do a good job centering it. But will I? That doesn't look bad for me. I'm not too good at this. But you know what? I might have done it. Now, if you feel your hands are getting dirty, you take a scrap piece of white paper and you push it down with that. This way you don't have to worry, because you do have to check your fingers, especially when you start using the darker distress colors, okay? So I've distressed the edges. I matched the same curve. And now I'm ready to do the front of my card. So these are the trees that I picked. I had done this one earlier. Done this one earlier. See, all different kinds of doodles. This one, they're all different. That's the fun thing about doodling. And it is considered art now. And why shouldn't it be? So I think I'm going to go with this font. I like that one, A Time to Mourn. So I'm going to take my trusty from Stampin' Up. I just love these scissors. I'm going to cut it out. I'm ready to glue everything on. Now I want to make sure all the words go in. And I'm going to center it right in the middle of this wonderful ribbon. I'm going to take this is where I take my berry glue. I'm going to go around. I pretty much have to go in the middle. I don't really have a choice, right? Because it's right there for me. And I think that works. I think that's straight enough. I'm not a machine. This is art. Now I can think about where I place my trees. Because if I push this too far in, I might not be able to set up all my trees correctly. So I think I want this one up, this one down, and this one up again. Something like that. Yeah, I think I want that. So the first one I have to glue is this one. So I'll move these aside, and I'm going to glue them all up. So here are some ways that I practiced. Handcrafted, one of a kind by Lynn Early, different fonts, but I sort of like this font. Then I distressed around the punch, then went over it so it kind of looks tea-stained, and now I have to go around the whole thing. And now the finishing touch to the envelope. I'm not going to put anything on the front, because if I mail it to someone, or if I sell it at a craft show and they mail it to someone, I don't want to really do anything in the front. But remember these daisies way in the beginning, part 1 of this series? Well, I'm going to do a little daisy that I coffee stained, because it's got the distressed look. I'm going to cut, see, going to cut off all the little things that stick out. Now I'm going to use my berry glue. A big drop in there, and I have to do a drop on every petal, because if this does go through the mail, this won't come off. Oops. Well, that happens. I drop things. And see that glue there? Oops, I just dropped something, but it wasn't that important. Then I take the paper and I press really hard. And that should do it. Now I don't touch it for about a minute, and that'll be fine. So that's the back. And it's all complete. I want to thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this. More card making to follow. Have a great day.